Televidentes, saludos. Otro de nos update ng paluketa trata. Eleksyon St. Maarten 2020. Hinterdia di awe jarasong, mayang tambe, nos ting diferente updates com nossa 13 pabo. E na momento aqui, nós na oficina de ministro-presidente de Isa de St. Maarten. Ta sucupa fo, pero mesa trabalho passo nos que informabo devidamente e seguidamente também. Pois na momento que você está mirando essa aqui, quizás já tá mayang, pero para nós, ta awe jarasong dia promete que a dia de eleição de mayang e permitir-me para me introduzir e saludar o Primeiro-Ministro de St. Maarten, a senhora Silveria Jacobs. Prime Minister, good evening by now.
Good evening to you too, Maritza. It's a pleasure for me to be able to sit with you. I know it's at the end of the day, but the day has been truly, truly hectic. And I must say thank you for giving me the opportunity to share some of the information with your viewers.
Thank you so much for having us. During this entire day, we've been going over the process and what is the role of the Central Voting Bureau during an electoral process, the role of the police force during this process. And I think it would be interesting for viewers to hear what is the role of a Prime Minister during the electoral process.
Well, it's my first time. So for me, it's all new. The Minister of General Affairs is the Prime Minister, so everything pertaining to the election, the execution of it falls within the purview. So actually leading up to this, there was several decisions that had to be taken, approved by the Council of Ministers, sent up to the governor to be signed to expand the voting districts because we had more citizens registered per district and there's a limit. Only 1,500 per district, a voting station. So they had to make certain divisions. So some people who voted in one, polling station this last election would probably vote in another based on that change. So I had to sign off and approve on that. Of course, several changes that are related to the election. There's so much background work. I understand you got a good update from Civil Registry as well as from the main voting bureau in the person of Mr. Jason Rogers. And there's a lot of work involved. And I'm so proud of the workers that have been since October busy with overtime to plan, prepare, and get everything ready. This morning, I toured downstairs as the Minister of General Affairs to ensure that everything was in order. I checked out the ballots. I checked out that all of the bins per district were being packed. I got an update as to how many voting cards had already been picked up, those that had been brought back by the post office. So I've basically been, together with the Secretary General, been keeping up to date on all of the effects that needed to be in place, all of the things that needed to be done, crossing all of the T's, dotting the I's, and I must say the organization of civil servants as well as the independent organization of the main voting bureau has done an excellent job. I had some concerns about one or two polling stations because post-hurricane, they weren't exactly fixed. So I was like, are you sure you can use that? And so on my way back here, I stopped at two polling stations. One is a good one in good condition, which was at the Seventh Adventist School. And the other one is the Charles Leopold Bell School, which has really suffered a lot of devastation. But the cleanup has taken place. The fire department, which also falls within our purview as General Affairs, did a complete wash down of the building. There is electricity, there is running water. The building where they will be, the rooms where they will be voting will have air conditioning. The stalls are set up. The voting mechanisms are all in place. And the persons who have to man these polls have been benoemd, as they would say in Dutch. So I had to sign off the decree to name who these persons are, authorize them to be in charge, who would be the plaatsvervangenden if somebody fell ill, and to also authorize the Secretary General if anyone else fell ill, that he would be authorized to appoint them to fill in. So literally all dots have been made above the I's, all T's have been crossed. The police have brought in extra forces because it's a very, very busy day on St. Maarten with 5 ships in. So we anticipate some traffic issues. And I must say that all contingencies have been looked at to ensure that it's a safe, disaster-free, clear-free transparent election. And we have a good history of actually having a jovial and camaraderie during an election. You don't see animosity. We give our electorate the opportunity to walk up, go to your polls. You will hear, vote for me or vote for this one or the other. But I think we're doing a pretty good job of keeping it clean.
That's something that's very interesting because every election, every island also has their sort of history, culture, and folklore surrounding elections. What is something that you remember as an outsider looking in, let's say, with regards to the electoral process on St. Martin?
Yes. Not being involved in it and then getting in it is a completely different thing. I mean, as a voter, for me, it was nerve-wracking. My first time especially because all these people around and it can be a bit nerve-wracking. So I have that Medelijden now, that compassion that I am not, and I always ask my team to not be excessive, etc. You have to do your work prior to that. Bring those voters that you've convinced and don't harass the voters. So I felt harassed. So I don't appreciate that part. I think I like to walk in peace and know that you're going to do a very serious job and to fill in your choice on that ballot. It's very, very important. I like the excitement of it. I could remember as a child and as a young adult, you would see little parades, you would see little, But now that I'm actually the leader of a party, I don't encourage I don't encourage that. And definitely with the traffic situation, it is not being advised. Get to the polling station that you have to work or take care of. Do what you have to do, but do not create any unnecessary traffic jams. The governor will be touring. I will also take a visual tour of the different polling stations after I have voted as Prime Minister and General Affairs Minister. I will take a tour officially, and once I've done that, I will be in campaign mode.
Now, before we go to campaign mode, just a few more questions because there's a lot of firsts for you. Your first election as a prime minister, but it was also a very, this is the third, let's just call the elephant by the room. It is what it is. This is like the third snap election in a few years, since like 2016, 14, 16, Third time is the charm, fourth was a regular. Yes. Since 2016, and at a certain point you were the formateur and you had to form your cabinet of ministers. Looking back in the short span of time, literally, what is your impression and your sentiment with regards to, sometimes we want to do things in a particular order, but this went in a different order. So let me hear your take on that.
Yes, Maritza, I would have loved that. Given the situation that how it occurred, and having a 2 weeks where you didn't know whether the government was going left or right, whether there would have been a majority or not. I think to take away that uncertainty at a crucial time in our recovery, and as the largest party left, you can say, within the Parliament of St. Martin that was actually intact, I thought it was important that we at least have discussions, and we were able to find common ground. And so once we'd done that, we had hoped that would have sufficed and let us go into the next 2.5 years and finalize the period of 2018-2022. And of course, the Article 59 card was pulled, and we are where we are today. So it is what it is. We would have hoped to have been able to execute and finalize the recovery, rebuilding of St. Martin in a less volatile situation, but it has been done, and the options for the people are clear. So I'm hoping that they will come out, despite the fact that they may be disgruntled, that there is yet another. If I go any further, it will be very political. So I'll leave it at that as Prime Minister, in a sense of we've been through this process before, and there's several steps we need to take as a country and understand as individuals that it lies by the personal behavior of both the electorate and the elected official. So people have to be now very, very, very judgmental in making their choices and choose for someone that they know can stick it for the 4 years.
Before we go and switch over to our next segment, because what we're here, televidente, no se logra 30, conversar com o primeiro-ministro, dus nós vai reque mais tanto conosco por. So, ja anoche a sera shonang dus, ja, kike assim nós está aqui cava dus nós vou juice puntre mascos conosco por. Now, Prime Minister, with regards, and I don't know if this is a question you can answer as Prime Minister, elections cost money. And, there was talk about the international observers, yeah, who gonna pay for that? Police are coming in from the different islands, who gonna pay for that? Are you able to answer this as a Prime Minister, or should we go and come back and we
No, it's dealing with the budget of the country, and the entire process of the election was not budgeted for because it's 2019-20. It wasn't part of our budget. However, before we even came in, the former government had already ascertained that it would cost about 400,000 guilders, and it is to be found within the budget, because you set a budget on paper, and if you do not actually utilize all parts, you can then pull from here and there and be able to make it work. So that has been done. There has been no cry like there's not enough to be able to cover what has to be done. So I didn't really want to stress the budget any longer. We are in a deficit budget, but we're muddling through. But we cannot make the necessary changes to improve things, to make things better. Of course, we would have preferred not to have had an election, not to have had this burden on our budget, but it is what it is. It has to be carried by the St. Maarten government. If we receive any liquidity support that has been promised, then of course it can be, afgeschreven van. But at the end of the day, the liquidity support is also a loan. So we will see how it works out in the end. We will get the afschrift, the afrekeningen from every, maybe hopefully it comes out less than planned. Several of the observers or the colleagues of the main voting bureau declined due to their own budgetary circumstances as well. I don't know what the Netherlands reason was, but I know that Curacao certainly had a budgetary situation, and Anguilla is coming, and I believe some others within the Caribbean region. So I didn't get an update today yet to know exactly who, but I understand also that there are also more police officers, and that would definitely, as far as I know, I haven't been updated. If it's not so, then
they've been sworn in.
I will update, later on that, who paid for it. But at this point, I'm not sure, because that falls within the Justice Ministry. So I actually leave that to the Justice Minister. But I want to reiterate one thing. As Prime Minister and as a candidate, I am not influencing what's going on now. I have a supervisory role which, I have to sign off on certain things. But the actual execution of the elections is being done by the main voting bureau with assistance from the civil servants in the civil registry department. So I can in no way interfere. The process will continue as always. What I would do tomorrow in my capacity as Prime Minister is simply pass by to be present, observe, and see that everything is running smoothly. If there happens to be a problem, then the chairman of the main voting bureau will then contact me, and then based on what it is, then a decision will be made as to what needs to be done. Where it comes to safety and security during the election process, that falls within the Ministry of Justice, who has already published, the guidelines, etc. And because our people on St. Maarten are so well behaved, I expect that should not be any problem, because we don't allow any, public alcoholic beverage to be sold in the public, and we keep a calm atmosphere, and we just have a camaraderie. Our culture of elections is not a fighting, brutal one. It is one in which it's 16 square miles. Everybody knows everybody. You have family on all sides and friends who you grew up with, just like how we grew up together. So everyone knows everyone, and so we are fighting for the same positions, but at the end of the day, we know that it's a day, and after that, we have to go back, we have to collaborate, we have to work, and so therefore, I don't foresee that there will be any problems. I am just asking the general public, who from St. Maarten hopefully will also see this, that we keep cool heads and that we respect the outcome, whatever it may be.
Fantastic. Thank you for this part. Paso televidente, lago nos sabay pa outro par de coisas, sabay bibunti awa, anto ding nos próximo update, nos sabay conversar com a Silveria Jacobs, leader di National Alliance. Buon che perde,